Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Was Madara's Brother, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The Guard watched with great pride as the finely crafted dragon banner along with the Uchiha clan symbol now floated side by side alongside the Yamanaka flag on top of the castle. The fighting was over. Nearly 43 Yamanaka had to perish in battle for this feat to happen, but now the Uchiha had managed to gain the loyalty of two great clans, thereby boosting their power and reputation across the elemental nations even further. Naori Uchiha had herself arrived alongside Tsukumo Hatake, bringing with them the strength of the entire Hatake clan and nearly 300 Uchiha fighters that proved enough of a threat to make the Yamanaka surrender. Loud cheers could be heard across the town square as both the Uchiha and Hatake were praising the Guard who led the assault and rescued Kiara Hatake as well. Most of all, there were many among the Uchiha who were praising Naruto, who stood beside his friends with his surprised expression hidden behind his face mask. The young dragon. Naori couldn't help but smile when few of her clansmen praised her nephew by the name he was bestowed with years ago, ignoring the crude name he was tainted with. And while those Uchiha were very few among all their fighters, it was a start. For Naruto, Uchiha had proved himself again, and this time his victory was no small one. I asked him to do this quietly without alerting anyone, especially the Senju, of our involvement in my daughter's rescue. He broke our agreement, hissed Tsukumo silently, earning a sharp glare from Naori. You think we were going to take all this risk just to save your daughter? Lord Hatake, you conveniently want to serve the Senjus while taking the help of the Uchihas whenever your masters deny you justice. That will not be tolerated, warned Naori, her menacing eyes boring right into the heart of Tsukumo Hatake. Where is my daughter? Asked Tsukumo worriedly, and saw Naori smirk viciously. Safe with us in our stronghold. We will return her back to you once we sign the official alliance treaty with you and the Yamanakas, said Naori sweetly, and couldn't help but smile when Tsukumo paled. You can't do this, replied Tsukumo angrily, his hand itching towards his sword. I have already done it, Lord Hatake. You work for us now, and it will be best if you side with us quickly, for the Senjus have called their allies and you won't like what they do to you if we are defeated. Tsukumo had gone deathly pale as he realized the consequences of his actions. He had hoped that Naruto would do this quietly without implicating the Hatakes. All this time he had assumed it was Naruto who was making the decisions. But it was always her. Naori knew the Hatakes couldn't afford to side with the Uchiha, nor could the Yamanaka, because their territories were right next to Senju borders. Hashirama Senju would never allow the Uchihas to have influence right across his doorstep. Naori had reluctantly made Tsukumo bring his troops to battle along with Uchihas as a precaution to safeguard his daughter in case Naruto failed. Her reasoning seemed true back then, and he had agreed, for he loved his daughter too much. Now that same love had implicated him. The Senjus would never forgive him for this, even if he betrayed the Uchihas. He looked at Naori and couldn't help but imagine someone so beautiful could be capable of such deviousness. This woman also now held his daughter as a bargaining chip to make sure he didn't cross the line, while Naruto had somehow intimidated the Yamanaka so much that they had surrendered very quickly. You're good at this game, said Tsukumo finally with a resigned smile. I always play to win, Lord Tsukumo. It is true that I made you believe that my nephew holds all the power, which he does to an extent. I allowed him to make his battle plan because I see great potential in him. At the same time, I had to make sure the Uchiha clan gained something significant from this engagement. Not all battles are fought with the sword, explained Naori honestly. You're a dangerous woman, admitted Tsukumo begrudgingly, making her smirk. That I am. Naori found her beloved nephew standing on top of the castle he captured a fortnight ago. She saw him staring at the vast forests surrounding the Yamanaka territory, as well as the small celebrations conducted by their own clansmen with the Hatakes inside the town. She stepped beside him and couldn't help but look at his face that seemed deeply lost in thoughts. I kept my promise. Naori smiled at him and took his hand in hers, giving it a gentle squeeze. Thank you, she whispered gratefully, knowing that it was her turn to uphold her own promise made to him. What was my mother like? He looked in her eyes and all she could see was a curious child and not the man who could make his enemies cower with his mere gaze. I'm sure many have already told you over the years that you look like her, reminded Naori, making him nod in confirmation. Madara, Anabe, and Yashiro took after their father in looks and character. But you and Izuna were Hikari's truest sons, she loved her family more than anything. Her boys meant the world to her and for their sake she was willing to do anything, even if it meant giving her life or taking those of others, explained Naori patiently, and saw him ponder over her words. As the wind softly ruffled his silky hair, he gave out a wishful sigh. I wonder what she would think of me now after all the things I've done, he suggested. She would love you just the same even if she never knew why you did what you had to. Mothers are like that, promised Naori. Like you? He asked amusedly, making her grin. Yes. They both became silent after that and settled for gazing at the celebrations happening across the town. Their only solace being the soft intertwined hands of theirs. Will you be there for the trial of Awashi Yamanaka? Asked Naori seriously. I doubt anybody wants to see the K actually be involved in matters of justice. It'll be a cruel joke, he answered sarcastically, making her frown harshly back at him. That's not true. And you will be there for me, commanded Naori with a smirk, which elicited a hearty laugh from him. The things I do for my loved ones, said Naruto amusedly. Does that include someone named Mikoto? Naruto paled a little when her sharp eyes looked at him knowingly. This woman. I haven't told anyone. Nor will I ever, she promised. I don't love her, clarified Naruto honestly, but could not understand why those treacherous words escaped from his lips. Naori neither chastised him nor looked at him accusingly for his choice. She simply laid a hand on his covered cheek. Why don't you? Out of all the things she could have asked of him, this was probably the most strange one. Yet it also made him ponder as to why he didn't feel anything more than a curious attraction towards Mikoto. The girl was beautiful, skilled and caring. More than what someone like him ever deserved. Everything was perfect yet it wasn't at the same time. A strange paradox, something which was a regular phenomenon of his twisted life which made him chuckle. But contrary to popular beliefs, he respected women. He had kept the promise made to his father of never indulging with whores or any woman as a matter of fact. Even with Mikoto, he had never went far beyond simple K. For he knew his boundaries and knew if someone ever found out, it would not be him that suffered but her. And he would never allow that, certainly not to someone he truly cared about. He couldn't help but laugh at himself, for hours ago he threatened to wipe out an entire clan including innocents and yet his heart was fiercely protective regarding the fate of one girl. You're a wild dragon, scolded Naori with a playful wink. I'll take that as a compliment, he replied cheekily, earning a bop on the head in return. I received word from your father and he is very pleased with your accomplishment. He is proud of your loyalty to the clan, praised Naori. That's all. She flinched on hearing his cold voice and those accusing eyes that burned so intensely with hatred. What made it worse for her was the fact that she knew he was right for harboring such feelings. She could clearly see the resentment lurking in Naruto's eyes, for never once had Tajima written a personal letter to him, only congratulating him on his victories and reminding him of not breaking any more laws. While Madara always wrote to his brother, Tajima never had, and she could see it had hurt the boy standing before her. Naori herself was ashamed of her brother, for she had hoped after all that had happened to his own son, Tajima would surely show more appreciation and care. But then again, Tajima had only ever cared about the Uchiha name above everything. Madara never cared if his father gave him love or attention, but Naruto was a different story. One made more complicated by the dark history shared between father and son. The one only Naori and Madara knew. She was still amazed at Naruto's loyalty despite everything that had happened to him. Never once had the boy broken his vows or promises to the clan, fighting for even those who despised him. You're an honorable man, she said sadly, but he shook his head furiously. Honor? I'm a dog, my father's mad dog, retorted Naruto fiercely, as his Sharingan came alive. Naruto. All his anger, pain and hatred came alive in his dark red eyes as he glared at her furiously. The only reason I allow all these morons to mock me, judge me, hate me is because of one simple fact. All I have done till now and in the future is not for father or our clan. It's for my brothers, yelled Naruto. He was shaking right before her very eyes, all the pain and frustration he endured every day clearly visible in those immensely furious eyes. She had no words that could comfort him or make his pain go away, so she hugged him and felt him relax a little. I'll fight for Madara as long as I can, enduring everything I can until my end comes, he promised. Before she could console him, he broke the hug and swiftly disappeared with a quick shunshin. Shisui had been taking a stroll through the forests around the Yamanaka territory in the hopes of understanding the terrain better in case of a future attack by the Senjus. However, his mission was interrupted when he heard a distinct sound. As he walked towards the river shore, he came across a bizarre sight. He watched a dozen armed warriors fighting against one man with everything they had, be it jutsu or weapons. The strange fact was they all looked like the enemy they were fighting against. Shisui watched Naruto attack and defend against his army of shadow clones and water clones alike. The sheer amount of clones that were being used was a testament to the gigantic chakra reserves. But Shisui didn't fail to notice one keen difference. He had fought beside these boys for years and knew he fought with finesse rather than brute force unless the situation demanded. But right now the same warrior was thrashing his clones mercilessly as if he was taking out all his anger on the poor replicas whose only option to survive was fighting him together, and even then they still less brutally. Shisui winced when Naruto exploded a massive burst of lightning from his body that majority of his clones as they were all fighting quite close to the river. He watched the K coat his body in an armor of dark blue-colored lightning. And he thanked the gods for making the Yamanaka surrender, as before his eyes this boy the remaining clone forces in 5 seconds. Even now I can see through the 5 of you. Shisui remembered Naruto's words to the Kinsguard, and watching him fight like this was a testament of that claim. There was a reason as to why no Uchiha had dared to raise a finger at Naruto despite their hatred for him, apart from the fact that he was the clan head's son and Madara Uchiha's little brother. Naruto was a fighter. One whom Shisui immensely respected. You look angry, he commented, making the panting boy glance at him. I am always angry, Shisui, admitted Naruto with a fake grin, one which Shisui chose to ignore as he approached his friend. Wanna fight? Challenged Naruto eagerly. Shisui glanced at his friend and saw he was barely done with venting out his anger. Wordlessly, he took out his own sword, earning a nod from his friend who raised his own blade. They both disappeared and met each other in the middle of the river as their blades clashed against each other violently. Shisui firmed his stance when he felt Naruto push him back with brutal force. If it was an all-out battle, then his decision to fight on a water body would have been against his current opponent, but today Naruto wanted to test himself with his sword, so Shisui allowed himself to be pushed back before suddenly losing his grip on his sword. Naruto's eyes slightly widened, for Shisui's sudden surrender had indirectly made his own sword about to end the boy's end. He instantly defensively reacted to prevent any harm to befall his friend. And then he saw Shisui grin. In the blink of an eye, Shisui had made himself grab his falling sword, and even as Naruto moved to counter the sudden move, he already felt the other boy's weapon pointed right at his heart. Yield. Naruto growled but was stopped when Shisui drew B by poking his blade gently across Naruto's heart. Control your emotions. Naruto's grip on his weapon had gone deathly tight as he glared at his friend, who stared back at him unflinchingly. With a furious growl, he stepped back and lowered his sword, making Shisui do the same. No matter what happens, never lose your cool, Naruto. You're better than all of us at fighting, but it won't matter if you lose your temper. It may give you power, but in the end you will be defeated, warned Shisui. Despite the scolding, Shisui was pleased to see his friend nod, if a bit reluctantly. What's the matter? I haven't seen you this riled up in a while, prompted Shisui carefully. He waited as Naruto took a few deep breaths to clear his haywire emotions before pensively staring at the calm river flowing beneath them. Yesterday, I threatened to an entire clan and even an unborn child before its parents, and my father says he is proud of my actions, lamented Naruto, the guilt visible on his ashamed face. Shisui wished the people who called this boy a traitor and could see him right now, for they would then realize their mistake of judging this boy. We did what we had to win, said Shisui honestly, but Naruto shook his head. What if they had not surrendered? Does that mean I have to kill every last one of them? For the actions of just one man? Asked Naruto disappointedly. That is the way of this world, my friend, confessed Shisui. Then it's F up. Shisui didn't blame his friend for shouting like that, for if the Yamanaka had not surrendered, then Naruto would have been forced to butcher the entire clan to the last unborn child. Even in the case of the Fuma clan, whom his friend K in combat a few years ago, he was forced to do so, for the Fuma didn't surrender. If they had, then Shisui had a feeling Naruto at least wouldn't have K all of them. For he was neither ruthless like Tajima or indifferent like Madara. Naruto felt things differently and in much depth than his family. That fact had always been clear to Shisui. Then why don't you do something about it? The brown-haired boy blinked at his friend's words. Didn't he know the situation Naruto was in? Regardless of that fact, Shisui gave him a blank stare. What? Asked Naruto dumbly. If you feel there is something wrong, correct it. You are luckier than most in that aspect, said Shisui patiently, without blinking for even a second as Naruto glared at him harshly. Don't you know who I am? Questioned Naruto bitterly, but flinched when Shisui gave him a harsh stare. You are the son of Tajima Uchiha, heir to the greatest clan in the world, the finest swordsman in the elemental nations and the wielder of the legendary Sharingan. In my eyes, you are one of the most powerful people in the world, admitted Shisui. Before Naruto could protest, the other boy raised his hand, firmly silencing any protests. Alas, it didn't stop his friend. If I was strong, my brothers wouldn't be s. If I was powerful, then I wouldn't have, whispered Naruto solemnly. He stopped when a firm hand was placed on his shoulders and he saw Shisui's smiling face staring back at him. I know. Shisui was not surprised when Naruto paled, as in those words lied the biggest secret of his life. The one which had nearly destroyed his life but also made him the warrior he was today. How? Stammered Naruto in disbelief. I saw it happen from the shadows. Kagami and Itachi too, we chose to serve under your command knowing exactly the kind of person you are. A true ninja is not the most powerful or most strong but the one who protects from the shadows. The one who bears the burden while living in darkness so that others may see the light. And for that you don't need jutsu or strength, but a pure and dedicated heart. You have that heart and I want you to use it to achieve all you want, suggested Shisui honestly, making Naruto look away. I just want this senseless fighting to end. I may never have a family of my own but my brother will someday. And I don't want him to witness and do the things we have done, confessed Naruto, earning a nod from his compassionate friend. There can never be two swords for one scabbard, Naruto. The Uchiha and Senju are those swords. Until we are at war there will never be peace in the land of fire. Unless we achieve peace between ourselves first, no other clan or daimyo will even think of it because they all fear us and also desire what benefits we bestow upon them through our endless conflict. You have seen this fact with the Yamanaka and Hitaki clans, explained Shisui frankly. Naruto pondered over those words and the deep implications behind them. It was one thing to protect your clan, but to senselessly kill people over and over for your entire life was not something he wanted to do. And just like Shisui said, the Uchiha and Senju were simply two extremely powerful families. The remaining clans respected and feared these factions, but at the same time neither great clan had the power to hold the entire land of fire for a long time. As long as the Uchiha had Madara, and the Senju had Hashirama, neither family would lose. What do you want with your life, Shisui? Asked Naruto curiously, which earned a hearty laugh from the other Uchiha as he tapped his own sword. I just want to do the right thing, confessed Shisui. And what is that? Asked Naruto, earning a knowing glance from the boy. I have already done it. With those cryptic words, Shisui walked away, leaving behind a confused but much more calmer Naruto behind, who finally smiled faintly. Naruto had remained stoic throughout the trial of Awashi Yamanaka. He had stood guard beside his aunt and watched as she and Lord Tsukumo Hitaki questioned the culprit who was the reason behind all this violence and loss of life. He was actually quite surprised when the young man quickly confessed his guilt and tried to shield himself, claiming it was an impulsive action on his part that should not have happened. He actually had the gall to ask for mercy. Even Lord Atama Yamanaka, the current clan head, offered quite a lot of bounty and fertile lands in return for sparing his nephew's life. Naturally, Uchiha Naori was in favor of that option, for that would ensure a respectable peace between the two clans. All eyes shifted towards Tsukumo Hitaki, who somberly glanced at the wooden table underneath him. Naruto himself couldn't help but stare at this man and wonder what choice would he make. Then surprisingly, Tsukumo actually looked at him and in his eyes there was present the unasked question. Naruto glanced at Awashi Yamanaka and despite the terrified expression, he saw the almost victorious look hiding in the boy's cunning eyes. He knew he had made a powerful offer for his life, even a strategic masterstroke that compelled Tsukumo to choose peace over future conflict. But 43 lives had been lost because of this man's stupid and selfish act. So many men and women who would never see their family or friends. Tsukumo stared at the harsh eyes that gave one single suggestion. Justice. Awashi Yamanaka. All the Uchihas, Hitakis and Yamanakas inside the courtroom listened closely as Lord Tsukumo got up from his chair and looked at the young man who was on the verge of smiling in relief and victory. For your crimes that sparked a conflict between our clans and the loss of so many lives on both sides, I sentence you to death. Shocked gasps and even a few outrageous protests erupted across the room. Even Naori looked aghast at the extreme decision taken by the Hitaki leader despite all the compensation he had been offered. Then she watched her nephew move and knew what was about to happen. Awashi screamed obscenities and protests at the top of his voice, but not one of his clan or any other faction rose in his support. When the members of the Khan's guard grabbed him roughly and made him kneel, he started to tremble. His eyes widened in fear when he saw the K step before him with a cold look in his eyes. Any last words? Asked Naruto icily. Fu, K. Naruto gave a cold smirk to the blonde Yamanaka. You're not my type. With a single stroke of the sword, the golden head of the Yamanaka heir was severed from his body, rendering a stunned silence across the courtroom. Naruto wiped the bee from his sword as his friends dragged the headless body away from, even taking with them the severed head. When that was done, he glanced towards the two clan heads. Tsukumo's face showed resignation and weariness while Atama Yamanaka looked crestfallen, but his eyes lacked any hatred, knowing his nephew had deserved the fate bestowed on him. The fact that an Uchiha him removed any possibility of retribution from any hot-head Yamanakas, for none dared to challenge the dragon. It's done, declared Naruto coldly, daring anyone to challenge otherwise. None did. Before any clan heads or Naori could say something, the door of the courtroom was opened once again as a terrified messenger stormed inside, and he said just one word that passed on his fear to most others present in the room. Senjus. Not a second later, alarm bells rang across the entire town, marking the arrival of the feared enemy. But as chaos and confusion threatened to erupt across the three clans, one massive presence spread across the entire room. The intent so deep that it threatened to make many piss themselves. Everyone looked at the source of this power and saw the stare at them with a confident grin. Come with me and burn some tree huggers, roared Naruto, unleashing his ancestral sword. As one, the Uchihas rose, their clan's famous madness and lurking in their eyes as they all cheered that decision. Following them were the Hitakis, who also roared in approval when their leader gave the nod. Finally, Atama Yamanaka gave a resigned nod, leading to the Yamanaka ninjas also standing abruptly and nodding their consent without any enthusiasm. Casting one last glance towards his aunt, who gave him a firm nod as well. Naruto Uchiha marched to battle. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.